and dangerous.
You know, because we are Chinese.
And we're dangerous. Okay, especially when it comes to my mental health, and I feel like you fucking with me.
Right.
I'm gonna let you know that it's not right.
It ain't right.
So, if you look at the title of this video, you already know what we're gonna get into today. It is going to be a heavier topic. So if you're about that, continue to watch. But before we get into it, your girls over here, yo besties.
Hi.
We talk about anything that two besties want to talk about, such as astrology, girl code, fuck boys, mental health, spirituality, really anything that we feel passionate about and that we feel like we want to talk to you guys about. We discuss on this channel. We don't limit ourselves. So if you like us, if you like our vibe, if you like our content, go ahead and subscribe. And now on to the video. Okay, Maya. So let's get into our first mental health video on this channel.
Yes.
First of many.
First of many. I feel like I want to start off by saying that we are not therapists. You know what I mean? This is not legal advice. This is just your two besties talking to you about our experiences and the things that we go through and just how we feel about mental health.
Yeah, we're just being candid about our experience with it.
But I feel like I need to start off by saying I personally need more mental health days than I do sick days. I feel like mental health is still not 100% taken seriously in our society. And we don't have a lot of places we can go when we're feeling depressed or anxious. And if you've ever tried to find a therapist, like, you know, it's fucking hard out here, okay? It's also even harder to ask for help when you're in that, like, deep, dark, depressive state. Oftentimes, we are actually more mentally fatigued than we are sick or physically fatigued. You know what I mean? And, I mean, that's at least the case for me. Like, I feel like I always need mental health days and not an actual sick day.
Yeah.
And I end up having to take sick days for my mental health days, and I feel like that's not right. Like, everybody goes through these mental health issues, and the fact that we don't take it seriously and we don't have designated days for it makes me angry. You know what I mean? We feel guilty for saying like, hey, I need to take a day, I need to take a break, and that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah, it shouldn't. I agree. If you listen to our podcast, I said this on the podcast too. I was like, if I ever become a CEO of any company, one of the things I'm going to do is make sure that my employees have as many mental health days as they have actual sick days or PTO, like completely separate things, because I am so tired of feeling like I have to pick between the two, or feeling like it's not as serious because I'm not physically sick.
Yeah.
You know, I want people to know that their mental health matters. And I feel like it's hard also living in the United States, because like you said, it's hard finding a good therapist. And one of my experiences with that was when for the first time ever, I worked at a good job, and I still do, and I have insurance, but when I went to go look for a therapist, it was the worst experience ever. The experience itself was good, but then I got hit with the bill, and it was funny because I was there, and they were like, "We do. You're what is it called?
Cover your
you're in network.
Yeah,
you're in our network." And I was like, perfect. And then I get hit with a $500 bill. That scarred me, and I know I'm not the first person that has had to deal with that. And it's not just about mental health, just our healthcare system in general is shit.
Yeah.
But obviously, because we don't take mental health seriously, we're more inclined to not go to a therapist or anyone in that category, because A, we're scared of that bill, and B, we just tell ourselves it's not that big of a deal. So it is very, very hard dealing with mental health issues everywhere, but especially in America, I feel like. And yeah, that's one of the first things I want to touch on. I feel like I wish mental health was something that I knew from a young age. That awareness would have helped me understand myself early on. And I feel like the first time I heard about mental health was when I was in my early 20s, and I personally feel like that's too late.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like our society is just barely raising mental health awareness, and honestly, culturally for me, it's a taboo subject. And maybe it is for other people too, but I can speak on my experience as, you know, a Middle Eastern girl. I feel like it's not taken seriously, and you are kind of brushed off when you talk about your mental health, because they honestly think that you should just get over it, you know, or that you are complaining, you know, and I hate that. It's almost like if you're struggling mentally but don't have the will to power through and push yourself, you are weak. And honestly, that's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard. And the fact that I didn't know about this until I was older, it made me a very sad and depressed and anxious little girl, teenager, young adult. you know, because no one was there telling me that what I'm going through is actually a thing.
Yeah.
Other people experience it, and that's just what happens when you live in this world, in this day and age. Also with the age of social media, you know, we're exposed to so many different things, so of course we're going to be more anxious. Of course we're going to need mental health breaks more than ever, you know, but it's not talked about. And I just wish it was different growing up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I absolutely hate it too, because it's like for us black and brown women, like they always tell us be strong, you know what I mean? You're strong if you're keeping it in and like showing up every day. And that's such bullshit. Like I'm still strong even if I'm telling you that I'm going through something.
If anything,
you know what I mean?
we're
I am stronger
for voicing that,
yeah.
you know?
And I just hate that, you know, older generations think still that this isn't something that's important. You know what I mean? Just because your parents told you like, hush, keep those feelings in, doesn't mean that we have to keep them in. And I feel like our generation is really standing up and being like, hey, like mental health is a serious issue and we need you to take it seriously.
I agree. I feel like, listen, that, you know, Scorpio Pluto generation, we are changing the game. We're sick and tired of being used and abused. And Scorpio rules over the death card in tarot. So something needs to die for something more beautiful to come alive. You know, we need to let go of these old belief systems that are no longer serving us so we have a chance to build a better future. And it's not going to be fucking easy, especially for us that are actually breaking these generational curses, you know, but we have to do it because A, we want to do it for ourselves, and B, we don't want to live in a world or have kids in a world that have to experience that.
Yes. 1000%. Definitely don't want that. Like Sarah said, like you don't want to be, I don't want my kids to be young not hearing about what mental health is until they're in their 20s. You know what I mean? Because it was the same for me. Like it's just not talked about in black and brown communities. You know? Okay, I feel like another thing about this, the pandemic has negatively affected everybody's mental health. And it's one, because all of us have been in isolation for so long. Say hello, baby boy. I feel like we have been in isolation for so long, and humans should not be in that much isolation. Like, I know there's introverts in this world, but like we have been way too isolated during this pandemic. And don't even get me started on all the protests and the human rights that we're being challenged and like we're fighting for right now. Like it is a lot. We have been through a lot, you guys. So like be kinder to yourselves. Be a little bit more like understanding that we're going through tough times and you maybe need to move a little bit slower. You know what I mean? I feel like we are doing ourselves a disservice by not talking about the challenges and the negative effects of this pandemic. You know what I mean? Like I'm not hearing enough about how people, I mean, my friends, because we talk about it all the time, but amongst like social media, like among stars and celebrities and stuff like that, like I want to hear more about the negative effects of the pandemic and how it's affecting their mental health, because I know it's negatively affecting them just like it is everybody else.
Yeah, I feel like it's weird because it's like, okay, now we're going back to normal. Everyone just have fun now. It's like, are we okay? I'm not okay.
I'm not okay.
Like, I know I'm blessed because I still have a job and I'm healthy and none of my close relatives passed away. Like, I'm so thankful for that. But that doesn't mean that we didn't go through this period of mental stress, you know, and like I completely agree with the fact that as humans we're not supposed to be isolated for that long. Like I myself am an introvert, so I can speak on introverts. Like honestly, I was okay for like the first year. After that year, I started feeling really lonely, like honestly, and like I love spending time with myself, I'm good, but also I started missing those interactions with different people. It's very normal for us to want to have that, even if you're an introvert. It's okay to want that, you know? Your mind needs to be stimulated.
And I feel like too, going back into society after the pandemic.
Oh yeah. Listen to our podcast if you want to know about our first trip after the pandemic.
Lots of anxiety for people, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like re-entering the world.
It's like you're raw, you're like a newborn baby.
Exactly. So if y'all are feeling that way, no, you're not alone.
No, you're not alone. Be easy with yourself. It doesn't have to go back to literally like winter of 2019 where you were going out every weekend. You're like, well, it's summer 2021. I could go out every weekend again. I'm like, are you sure you want that? Like,
Are you ready
for
for
that? You're not.
You're not.
I'm letting you know you're not. You
You're not.
need to do the work to be okay before you put yourself back out there again and have your energy be invaded by hundreds of people every day.
Especially because people are wilding out here.
Yeah, we
They
always talk
ain't taking
about
care of
this.
their mental health either.
They're not. A lot of people are distracting themselves, and also a lot of people, a lot of these weirdos, have been inside for too long, so they're ready to show up and show
ready to
out,
creep.
which shows you that it's even now more important than ever for you to learn how to protect your energy and protect yourself and know when it's time to, you know, give yourself a mental health break. So yeah, it's no surprise if you've been watching us that we just actually ourselves came back from a mental health break. And honestly, I'm so happy to be in a partnership with my best friend who appreciates the importance of mental health, you know, as much as me. I feel like I will gas up mental health, you know, as much as I can, but that doesn't mean that I myself don't struggle to ask for a break when I need one, you know? And I feel like our capitalistic society is to blame, and our society glamorizes hustle culture. So of course my first instinct is to blame myself when I realize I need a break. That's just it. We have to train our minds to be less critical of ourselves when we need mental health breaks. Don't judge yourself for it. This is not saying anything about you. It's just showing you that life is overwhelming and now it is time for you to take a break, you know? And I feel like at the end of the day, when you take a break, you come back stronger. When we take our break, every time we take a break, we come back stronger, ready to talk. We always have videos that are way longer than before because we have more to say, we have more energy. That's just how it goes. And honestly, when someone is injured physically, it's idiotic to push your body when it's not fully healed. You know, you just don't do that. Like, what are you doing? Sit down, let it heal. So the same idea should be applied for mental health. You know, if you're going through it mentally, you don't just tell yourself, all right, well, time to go and get them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Monday motivation.
Right.
You know,
No,
shut the
no,
fuck up.
no.
Like, fuck that. And honestly, I just have to say this real quick. Every day of the week is ruled by a certain planet. Monday is ruled by the moon. And think about it. Everyone talks about Monday, first day of working out. Monday, like, let's get the week started. It is ruled by the moon, the planet of emotions, the planet that makes us the most sensitive, you know? Like, that is not the energy that feels motivating, that feels like a go-getter.
No.
Mars actually rules Tuesday. Tuesdays are a great day to go get them.
Yeah.
You know, so if that's something you struggle with on Mondays, take it easy. You know what I mean? And if you're like, well, I don't have the kind of job where I can take it easy. Maybe you're working, but don't stress yourself out when you don't do it right. You know what I mean? Like, just let it go. Don't try too hard on Mondays.
Everybody's in their feels. Come on. We all know about
It's
the Monday
Moon
blues.
Day. It's Moon Day.
Moon Day blues.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, don't stress yourself out. I feel like you made an interesting point though, that like people, you know, they don't push themselves when they're physically injured, you know? And but it's funny because there are a few people who do, and I feel like it just speaks to a larger problem that we're also touching on, that like people aren't valuing their well-being.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that is a great example because it's like, we wouldn't normally do that. People in their right mind don't think like, hey, I'm not gonna stand up on my broken leg and try and do jumping jacks or something, you know? But
and honestly, I can only speak on like movies when I see like, let's say it's like a movie about someone playing football, whatever, and they're injured and they're clearly not ready to play and they just keep getting up and they're like, I'm ready. And it's like, it's this really sad moment in the show or movie because you're like, you're not ready. Like
it's
you're
not okay. It's not
but they're pushing themselves. And think about it. That's what we do every time we're mentally broken. We're like, I'm ready. I'm going to keep going. Sit down, dude.
Stop.
Chill out.
Stop.
You don't have to respond to all those texts. Tell people that you are not available, and that is that. All right?
Sometimes it just takes over you and you're like, you know what? I really can't do this anymore today. And don't be afraid to say, hey, I can't do it anymore today.
Another thing is, I feel like your mind and body are constantly working to keep you happy, healthy, and alive. And I feel like we give our bodies rest when, you know, we're sleeping and we're eating. But what about our minds? Don't our beautiful minds deserve breaks too? When you're in desperate need of a mental health break but refuse to ask for it or demand one, I like demand better because you're just letting people know this is what I need. I'm not asking for permission. I'm doing it. You know, the work you produce will be better. I feel like, trust me when I say this, because I've had to go through it myself, nobody will think you're the hardest worker in the room because you don't take any breaks or you never use your PTO. Like, don't let some of these boomers lie to you, and don't let our capitalistic society and these companies use and abuse you. That doesn't mean shit. Like, cool, you don't ever take breaks, so you hate yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, do something nice for yourself. You freaking deserve it, dude. And I feel like we're in 2021. The hardest worker in the room is the person that values their mental health more than anything else and uses their time efficiently. You produce the best work when your mind is mentally sharp.
Yes.
And your mind won't be there unless you give yourself a break when you're going through it.
You need breaks.
Yeah.
Our brain can only take so much. Okay? Asking for help when you're in a depressive state, as we've talked about, is probably one of the hardest things you can do. You feel really, like, when you're in that state, it's really hard to reach out to people. But I really encourage you to reach out to your people. It's seriously one of the bravest things I think you can do is to say, hey, I need help. I cannot stress enough that you are not weak for asking for help. You are so freaking strong, okay? I promise that your people are going to show up for you, you know? And I'm so happy, like, a few weeks ago when I told Sarah, like, when I needed my mental health break, you know what I mean? And of course, we're going to have different mental health breaks because we're different people, even though we're best friends. You know what I mean? We don't really have one brain. And so I was just so happy that I was able to come to you and say, hey, like, I'm going through a hard time, like, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, you know? And like, my people were able to bring life back into me, you know what I mean? And that's one of my favorite ways to, like, kind of get out of a depressive state is, like, going to my people and just sharing my feelings with them, you know? Because they fill me up with love and remind me that I am worthy, you know?
It's like validating you too, or like validating me when I come to you, anybody. When you talk to someone that you care about and they validate what you're going through, it makes you feel less small. It makes you feel like, oh, so I'm not doing the most? Like, okay, you see that I'm not okay, and it's okay that I'm not okay. Sometimes you just need someone close to you to tell you that, and to make you realize that, hey, what you're going through is normal, you deserve a break. That's it.
I feel like too, something that I really appreciate is, like, normally I try and talk very kindly to myself, you know, but when I get into these depressive, like, states, I'm not being very nice to me at all. And so when I hear my family and friends saying, like, Maya, I love you, Maya, you're great, Maya, you're doing this, like, sometimes I'm like, it's not true. But it's still really great to hear, and they remind me to be kind to myself. You know, it's like, it helps me restart that cycle of, like, positive thinking for me.
Because they're feeding you positive affirmations. Like, that's one of my favorite love languages, is when people give me positive affirmations, because I take it in and I'm like, I am that, you're so right, you know? I know during most of this video we focused on work, and honestly, a lot of mental health breaks are needed because of work and how stressed we are, but they're not the only reason we need mental health breaks. Sometimes sometimes our relationships stress us out, because mental health isn't just about your job. It also, like I said, affects your relationship. And I feel like without mental health breaks, your brain will feel overwhelmed by what's going on around you all the time. And it feels like time is moving and you're barely holding on to your life, and life is just happening and you're just kind of sitting there wondering what the fuck is going on right now.
You're drowning.
Like, am I even here right now? And you know, that's that time where you need to ask for a mental health break, because you are so emotionally fatigued and you need to take care of you, because if you don't, nobody else will. And I don't know about you guys, I will pretend that I'm fine, and I'm so good at pretending that I'm fine that everyone around me thinks I'm fine. And then once it hits me, I get frustrated to the point where I'm like, can't anybody see that I'm not okay? And it's like, well, you did such a good job pretending you were fine that everybody thinks you're fine. You know what I mean? So that's why it goes back to Maya's point. You need to tell your people, hey, I know yesterday I was all chipper and okay, but literally I was drowning. I was like, I wasn't okay. And I need to tell you, and I need to vent to you. You know, that's important to do. And honestly, it just feels like time is moving and that you're barely holding on to your life. And that feeling is very scary.
You feel out of control. And I feel like, I know I definitely don't like that. I know Sarah definitely doesn't like that. I feel like nobody really likes feeling out of control in their life. And when, you know, when you're not taking care of your mental health, that is like the number one thing. You feel hella out of control with everything and like you're fucking drowning. But if you just take a break, you don't have to keep swimming.
You don't. Honestly, fuck Nemo. Just keep swimming. Fuck that.
Fuck that!
What is that, fucking capitalist society telling me to
It
just
sure
keep
is.
swimming?
Fucking Disney.
No.
I don't have to keep pushing and
I
swimming.
don't. And you know what? It may feel like I'm drowning, but really I called for a lifeboat. A lifeboat, and my friends are coming to get me.
Right.
I don't have to keep swimming. I don't have to drown. I'm getting carried by a fucking lifeboat.
Mm-hmm.
On a good day, it will be a yacht. And Captain Sandy will be coming. If you watch Below Deck, you know the reference.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
The last thing I feel like I'm gonna say about this for this video, because you know there's more coming, is I feel like we all need to take more breaks. We all just need to take more breaks, okay? I feel like, again, in society, it's still really looked down upon when we take these breaks. I feel like we saw a really good example of this with Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, who was in the French Open, and she decided that she wasn't gonna do the interviews because of her mental health, and they freaking fined her for taking time for herself, for putting herself first.
How dare you? How dare you?
So you want to beat those people up. You know what I mean? And it sets like a very poor example for all of us
Yeah.
normies. You know what I mean?
Real.
Like, you feel like you're going to be punished if you say, hey, I need help. And that is just not the case.
Honestly though, I feel like, yeah, you could look at it as a bad example, but I honestly think
I was
it's
proud
a
of
good
her.
example, because it's like, you know what? Sometimes you're gonna have to put yourself first, and when you do, there's gonna be people that are gonna say they're disappointed in you, and fuck those people, because they literally are not the ones living in your body.
True.
And you deserve a break. Fuck what anybody else has to say. I don't care what your parents have to say. I don't care what your boss has to say. I don't care what your teacher has to say. Your friends has to say. Your significant other has to say. If you need a mental health break, you fucking take it.
Right.
And we support you.
Right. You could go ahead and show them this video, and we'll tell them to back the fuck off, and this person needs a little bit of time. Co-sign from your bestie. Alright, y'all, thank you so much for watching our episode on mental health. This is the beginning of a new series, so we hope you enjoyed it.
Yes.
Make sure you comment down below on your feelings on mental health, how you've been feeling during the pandemic. We know it's really stressful, so we would love to hear, you know, how you're dealing with it. Oh, but before we get out of here, we got a podcast. If you didn't know, we got a podcast. It's a wonderful podcast. We get into our deep, deep feelings. We're very uncensored there, so make sure you check it out. And we're gonna discuss a question that we're posing here for y'all. The question is, what are some of your favorite ways to decompress after a stressful day or week?
Ooh, and boy, do I have some tips for you.
Yes, we do. So make
And
sure
it's
you guys
not just keep swimming.
right now. So make sure you guys check out the podcast. It will be live on Tuesday, tomorrow. We're gonna link our socials around here. We love y'all so much. We really hope that you're taking care of your mental health during these times. You know, we're gonna take breaks again.
Yeah, I just want to say, we hope you're patient when we take breaks, and we hope you understand that, yeah, like Maya said, we are two different people. So sometimes it feels like our breaks are very close to each other. It's because when Maya needs a break, I'm supporting her, but that doesn't mean I need a break. So I
Right.
stop myself. But when I need a break, she needs to stop working and take a break with me, you know? So that's why sometimes maybe our breaks will seem too close to one another. At the end of the day, this is a YouTube channel with two people. So that's how it goes.
Yeah.
We love you. Take
So
care of
much.
yourself. Have a beautiful rest of your week.
Yes.
Because you deserve it.
So much.
Bye.
Bye.